focused on himself and farming and just trying to get those stacks up top. And it kind of upsets me for the early and mid game.
He drew a Nocturne ban right away from that. The threat, the initiation was just too strong long range, and really, I think that combined with everything is kind of just too much in the kit and caboodle.
Right, and they also ban out the Elise, or the Evelyn, which is very potent early game
that last
ganks.
Game, get out of here.
But you ban one champion that's amazing at the early game ganks, Gambit takes the other one. We're going to have to see what Diamond can do with Elise, because like we just saw in that last tweet, Sjokz has been able to put out a lot of early pressure, but something else that Sjokz does that I really appreciate is that since Elise is actually a ranged champion, he can take that champion from the jungle and he comes to lane quite often just with his mid laner and shoves the lane with him.
Just walk into lane.
Do turret damage, exactly. He sits there, sieges up at the turret, and the opponent, just 1 versus 2 range, you can't do anything to stop that turret damage.
You get pretty good push on
he
with
gets
Frenzy
objectives as well as the ganks.
Still slowly locking him in. Looks like XDG is going to take a little out of the Gambit book. We'll see if they can do something here. It was Lucian and Nasus for these picks.
Pretty much the exact same thing. When I said that Gambit chose this combo, and I was like, okay, that's amazing because Sivir's speed up is just what Shyvana needs. She gets in the fight and she can go wherever she wants. You speed up that dragon, she becomes even more terrifying. Now, if they can get a similar comp to what Gambit used last time, just a bunch of brawlers that want to get in there, when you pop that Sivir ultimate, everyone's on the hunt. Your opponents can't get away from your team fight. So you have the great team fighting team, and you have great chase potential. Just go for objectives.
CLG did this a little bit yesterday, tried to take the champions. Some thought that it might have been out of their comfort zone, but I feel like for these, XDG has played these before. Shyvana or Sivir is going to be quite well for them, but it is a trade-off of really what was just used. You can see where these players consider the power.
Well, this is going to be actually very interesting because basically if you get beat in a matchup with one side and then you switch champions and you get beat with the other side, it's very depressing because that just means the other team completely outplays you and they're just a higher caliber of a team. It's not going to be the exact same though. Leona, a little bit easier to use than Amumu.
Hey, Twitter is like fueling our picks here.
Very similar though, yeah. She does also go all in with her initiations, but like Double F was saying, the range on her hard to compensate for.
This is not the kind of team that XDG had last time. Yes.
Even though they were cheering, but they didn't really believe that was going to get locked in.
How can you believe? This is ultimately, oh my god, the smile on Genja's face. The bruiser bot lane, lock it in. I dare you. If they lock this in, it truly will start to show that diversity can be played. 3.14 has been a pond that everybody is just trying to test whatever they can in. And right now, Gambit is showing they're pretty much going to muddy the waters a lot more.
People like Pantheon more than Riven, I guess, but Riven, really, really potent. Does a very similar thing, very high scaling AD carry, as we've seen Faker and so many others, can be played mid.
Wow.
Can start dominating that lane 1 versus 1, and Bloodwater wants to play the crowd as well.
So they do have Lucian. I'm sad. I thought they were going to put Lucian middle. They still may and run some crazy bot lane. We can all hope.
All right, so we'll make sense of this Gambit team here. They do bring
I don't know if you can.
a significant amount of AP damage because, you know, even if that Elise is in the jungle, if Diamond takes her, then it will have the percentage damage from her magic. And Warwick as well, with his Q, does a good amount of magic damage, usually by Sunfire Cape as well, so it'll be burning slowly for that. And the only thing is with this Gambit team, when your main tank, which is probably going to be Warwick, does not have AoE crowd control, it makes it a bit difficult to pull off those team fights. And it's going to be on Edward, once again, to bring that AoE CC with the Annie. He's going to have good initiates because if he can get a good initiate, that followed up with the Riven, massive air effect
the
damage,
one person they get is going to
what
die.
they want to do. Yeah, exactly.
That's huge. Lucian's going to be able to just shred right through that with the charge shot. You're good to go. I like the pickups, however, a lot that would utilize stopping that composition from working. Warwick, Johnson Sodi, scout of the week. He hit him with Leona. That's a quick one-off for them, but it's only Warwick. You got a whole Gambit team to deal with. It's junked up from last game, and they played well. Both Barons in their favor, coming in strong. The Mumu in the bottom lane didn't phase them, and the reason it didn't is because they played it to avoid what they didn't want.
Yeah.
They didn't go into what they got a kill, and they weren't like, we can totally get more. They actually waited a long time. We saw Alex farming for how long after going 0-2?
And they also, you know, it was fortunate for them to go in those 2-versus-1 lanes, so he didn't have to get punished early due to his range disadvantage. But I really want to talk about, you know, how Darien knows Shyvana so well. One of his favorite champions, always has been. He is counter-picking Shyvana with Warwick, which we haven't seen a lot of. Warwick, not one of those top lane meta champions that's you know, using the perseverance like all the other ones. He'll probably take that and go defensive. But I'm really curious to see if they can actually find that 1-versus-1 matchup. I want to see it played out.
The 1-versus-1 would be awesome. That Warwick at 40 minutes is going to be a nuclear bomb running around because it's one of the hardest champions to kill. So
much sustain.
The late game for these guys. XDG needs to come out strong as they did last game, but they need to hold it down. Any sort of giving up, Gambit is going to take it and completely run with it. For game 2 of the Battle of the Atlantic here, we are on to the Rift. Gambit looks to take it. XDG looks to stay in the series with this win.
Looking to have some fun again here too. Darien rocking the Warwick is initially heading towards the top side, so we'll have to see if he does stay up there. He's got the teleport this time. So Shyvana, yes, she'll have the upper hand as far as the duels are considered early on because he's taking the combat summoner of Ignite, but Darien will be able to join the rest of his team. And a level 6 Warwick teleporting into your lane is a devastating thing, especially if that does happen bottom lane. Edward can easily set that one up, lock both members of XDG in place, and have Darien buy him enough time to join the fight and suppress one member.
Alex taking E, going against that ranged in mid. And you can see, I wouldn't doubt a few Doran's purchases here. We all know Gambit for loving the Doran, so expect a few more to go under the belt of Alex here as he tries to go hard on Mandatory Cloud. I think he's going to have a little bit of revenge from last game because Mandatory Cloud had his way in lane.
Yeah, Mandatory Cloud, though, very confident on that Syndra. Very popular champion for a lot of North American high solo queue players. I think he'll be able to deal with this Riven because she's gotten so popular as well that you get a lot of practice laning up against her.
You see all the totems activated and starting to be used. We'll see who backs to switch that out for the sweeper, usually the supports, but right now they get that first a bit of jungle cover and they'll be safe for the early part of the laning phase. It wasn't safe in the mid lane, so we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Both of these champions in the mid lane have pretty high kill potential, so it'll be interesting to see where these junglers go first, because Elise, great at early game ganks, but so is Lee Sin, and Xmithie is a beast Lee Sin. So they'll probably be making some early visits around there to try and turn the tides in this mid lane war.
This is about Xmithie, Jarvan, and Nasus, really, that he was able to make his mark in the summer split and be that, as Freak said, the player that was really the most improved. So we'll see if it transfers over here now into 3.14 into the Battle of the Atlantic. Both of these teams, as we said, testing out the waters, and Gambit doing a little bit more. Alex taking some damage in mid, but we saw this before. He knows what he can take and when he can take it.
Again, we do have a 2-versus-1 switch as well.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes a bit more sense here for XDG this time around because it's going up against Annie Lucian, which we talked about. So it's an aggressive bully lane for the 2-versus-2 situation. Meanwhile, they're just having, you know, Benny roam alongside Xmithie and give him a little jungle help while they wait for the minion wave to get to his turrets.
In at least one game, or the one game we just saw, there hasn't been much jungle invading after that first red buff we saw. CLG alternate was jungle all day. Those guys had a vendetta on the buffs. Really, there's been no focus between these two teams.
So especially early, jungle invading and jungle counter jungling is not as effective this patch because, oh, well, here we go. Diamond coming in for a gank. That's still effective.
As you were saying.
Yeah, so that was effective. They got the flash out. Mancloud did not, however, take any harass. And since Diamond was spending his time in the mid lane going for a gank, it's a small advantage here for XDG as long as the repeat gank does not secure a kill on the Mandatory Cloud. Because Xmithie is spending his time doing turret damage.
Yeah.
But Mancloud's pretty far extended.
Oh, Mancloud right back to the mid lane, and it is revenge coming in for Alex Each with the help of Diamond.
When you burn your flash that early against an Elise, you have to play defensively. You have to respect the Elise because it's so easy for Elise to gank mid lane. Just like I was talking about at the beginning of the game, she can come in from the Fog of War, and it makes it so easy to land the cocoons on mid lane. Mandatory Cloud right there. I think that was a bit of an overextension after he had already blown his flash.
Absolutely. Diamond had all eyes on the 3 and Xmithie, or Xmithie and those 2 in the top lane taking up the turret damage, so he was free to get.
They didn't even get that turret either, yeah.
No. Well, it's close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. They didn't get it, though.
It was a little, when they were up by that turret, it was kind of reminiscent of what TSM would do, and there was just nobody there for them to wait and kill under the turret.
Xmithie now has actually taken the opportunity to try and do some invading of his own, get behind Alex. Since Alex used all his summoners to get the initial kill on Mandatory Cloud, he doesn't have them left.
There's the scatter, there's no hard CC, but they are going to be able to get the Q and the resonating strike. Very good follow-up on that first blood.
Great answer there from Xmithie. Again, Lee Sin as well. Great early game potential. And since Alex used his summoners offensively, you don't kind of have that sense as a mid laner that you have to play defensively because you're like, oh, wow, you know, I just got my kill. But to get that kill, you used your escape. And you're going to have to watch out for the jungle.
Almost sets you up for the better. You got to be ready. Beautiful play by Xmithie, knowing that that money would be spent. A free gank without Diamond is a kill for them, and now 1-1. Benny looks like he may lose this turret in the bottom lane. He's not doing too much for it. He wants that farm anyways. But they are down to a 2nd tier already here. So this is definitely causing Diamond a bit more trouble in where he has to go in these lanes.
Yeah, Diamond coming to try and put this top lane shove in check here. Able to throw out just 1 spider to deter them and then go farm up a camp. So even though Xmithie and Diamond are both down there, Diamond's trying to get a little bit more money out of the situation.
I wonder how long they'll keep this. The bottom turret goes down, so they may be forced to match up in mid or something. But last time, XDG did this first, and they quickly rotated back to the 2v2. Now they're pushing forward.
And you also have to worry about the dragon at this point. They're spending so much time
They have a lot of people top, yeah.
with their jungler that the dragon is open for Gambit. And they definitely have the resources down there to take it.
Another turret going down, a flash burned onto Benny now. They're waiting on Syndra's to come back up as well. So Mancloud and Benny looking for a little bit of safety within their lanes. Ooh. They do have a bit of a gold lead, but again, it's not level 2 and 3, but Gambit tries for the early dragon once more.
It's a dangerous contest.
Too much AoE. This is bad. A good grab there. Genja trying to get himself out. Just kind of walked that one back and forth. There was no decisiveness there coming from XDG.
That worked out really well for Gambit, and pretty much the main reason that it did work out so well is that their jungler is Elise, and she can tank the dragon with her spiderlings. So even though it's very early to take a dragon, and it's dangerous because it puts out a lot of damage, those spiderlings can tank a huge amount for you if you're able to maneuver properly.
You see Alex's build actually goes for the Vampiric Scepter right after the Dorans. So we won't get an extra one, but Diamond will cover that. He'll put one in his inventory. 7 minutes in, XDG chooses to go for the mid lane here with their duo instead of the bottom lane. They're going to just leave that to Benny.
Seeing that they've gotten 2 turrets up in this top lane, it leaves Darien free to freeze this lane. Because Gambit already took the other objective on the other side of the map, that dragon, it means that, you know, he won't be pressured very soon to join the rest of his team. As long as the rest of Gambit can play defensively and hold on to their turrets in CS, then they can just slowly increase their gold lead while freezing that top lane there and allowing Darien to not only build up a good CS count, but also build up a big minion wave that they can then turn around and pressure the top lane of XDG with.
It's more of a take and give than a give and take. You got to be careful. You can't give too much because they'll just take it.
Okay. Especially against Russians. No giving allowed. Looks like XDG, though, have plans on the mid lane here. They're circling around with 4 members and taking this opportunity. Since the top lane is frozen, they invade bottom side jungle.
Now focus on Zuna here for a second. With all the pushing, with the pressure on the objectives, he is now about 20 CS behind. It's about 16 now that he's rounded up. But that is going to affect. Now that they're meeting up, Genja has probably a bit of gold on himself, and it's going to be a good matchup once he gets that Triforce.
It's an interesting thing here because Zuna does have a BF sword, while Genja only has a Phage. So Zuna technically with more damage
right now, that hurts.
win that trade, and since Bloodwater comes in, not able to get off the stun, but they do have a good amount of harass.
Edward looking to regain a bit of ward control here in the bottom. There we go. Put it in the forward brush to keep themselves safe, and with that stun up, he is potential damage, so XDG plays it safe.
Really got to watch out for that level 6 too, because as soon as both these supports hit level 6, the bottom lane is going to explode. They have so much crowd control, and again, it will be similar to last time, whichever support does get the first move, the initiative for the fight, is going to have the advantage here, because if Leona is able to land her combo onto Annie, even though Annie's got that Tibbers, she's very squishy, and he can actually try and burst her down.
That Phage is looking pretty good for Genja now. A pretty chunky Zuna health bar. Once he gets hit a few times, that's going to be enough. Nothing in the top lane for Darien. He continues to farm 45 to 33, and the farming is super low in this game.
It's very low because of the 2v1 situations that we saw. And since jungler switched over to try and push that turret so much, everyone's focused on turret damage, not so much the farming. But Darien has gotten a giant CS lead. He was down 15 CS before he started freezing, and now he's up 10. So he is more than closed that gap, but he hasn't purchased with it yet.
Oh, he locks him down with the suppression. Will it be enough? And he will not be able to follow. Bottom lane is setting up for this. It's going to be Edward. He does get locked off that level 6 explosion. Bloodwater is actually level 5. They went in on that before having everything they needed. They thought they had enough, and they are pressured off with Zuna going down.
Oh, the combo does land there. Now it's Benny on a run.
Oh, Alex in the right place at the right time, and he's going to go ahead and pick himself up a kill. 2 for 0.
Little bit of overextension on both sides there for XDG, and now Diamond not able to catch Xmithie, but you're right. So the big difference right there in the bottom lane fight was that Bloodwater had not achieved that level 6. Even though Edward wasn't able to get off his tippers, not having that Solar Flare for Leona did cost them, because both junglers joined the fight, and Diamond was able to turn the tides.
Alex just kind of hanging out in mid lane, so they're not really looking to pressure anything off of this. They say good lane win down to the bottom, good kills, let's reset. And this again is almost when Gambit took control last time. XDG with a great push, a great start, and then it just kind of still slowly turns over to Gambit.
It's funny because the roles have been completely reversed, but Gambit are still doing a good job. They're in the lead. They now have the top laner who's just farming, just thinking about himself.
Right.
He's got the teleport. Darien has still not gone back to buy. You can see that last little fight there where Benny got him extremely low. Darien just stuck around, and the amazing sustain that is in Warwick's kit allowed him to get right back to full health. Only rocking that Doran shield right now. He's holding on to a giant sum of money. And before he fights Benny one more time, he's probably going to want purchase.
Benny itemizing for the Spirit Visage in that top lane. Xmithie, actually, we haven't seen this in a bit unless it's been played by Insect, but he is going Sightstone and he is going for team utility, really assisting team, snowballing team, and getting them going.
It's interesting the Madred's Razor there for him too. We have not seen a lot of that come out here. This is they do find him. Couple wards dropped.
Genja didn't want any of that, and then he figured out what the situation was and was like, I can shoot him. Yeah, we can do this. 3-1 as everybody's kind of getting their nerves shaken off here. 12 minutes into the game, a Solar Flare comes out into Alex. Can they scatter the weak as well? Very nice by Edward, shutting down Mancloud. He could not come out with the kill he needed. They do go almost 1-for-1 on that, but it's not going to be enough in the return damage. Benny gets caught out here. The stuns are consecutive. Very nicely done coming from Elise and Annie. Well played.
Oh no, Benny coming in from the back of that fight does get snagged up. Nice cocoon right there, and they're able to get an answer kill. It took them a long time to take down Alex, even though they caught him out so well. And they are going to pay for it with the mid turret, but Zuna has been spending his time all alone down bottom.
Yeah, we got to remember that didn't have an AD carry. He's about to meet Genja, so they may not take that turret, and it won't be a trade for the one they're about to get in mid. So a very nice way to capitalize off a few kills, or losing one and taking one, I should say.
And Genja is going for that early rush of the Trinity Force, which not a lot of people have been sticking to. They're waffling back and forth between the Bloodthirster first and the Trinity Force first. I'm personally a fan of that Bloodthirster, but we definitely have seen that Genja knows how to build very well, even though it's a little bit odd and not quite the same as everyone else.
We got props to Darien, bringing it all the way back. Seasons gets the wit's end, bringing that out onto Warwick. I don't know how long it's been since we've seen that item.
It's a beautiful sight. Get up some magic resist. He can steal magic resist, actually. Adds a lot of damage to that Warwick. So he is not going full tank Warwick like I expected. He's actually going for some extra damage in that fight. Sustained damage. XDG, like we said, the comeback mechanic that is Dragon, that's actually huge for their team.
It does become very big, especially as the game goes on and it increases in that cash money. Again, we have the Relic Shield. Oh, Relic Shield rather on the side of Bloodwater. Last game, this was the Talisman of Ascension for them, but I guess with On the Hunt, they don't want the double stacking speed. They're fine with that to initiate. On the other side, it hasn't actually been picked up by Edward this time. He feels like as Annie, he can put out that power already. You're going to have the gold you need.
Yeah, Edward has not been shy about delaying his gold generating items, and sometimes even completely ignoring them. But when Bloodwater upgrades that to, you know, Face of the Mountain, it does provide another shield for his team. So he'll be able to protect Zuna that much better.
And Zuna just farming away like Darien. These guys, wow, he is still far behind actually. 113 to Genja, 85 to Zuna still, and he's actually been left alone in that bottom lane for quite some time. We saw him in the last mid-fight pounding on the turret, wasn't able to get that, so a little bit of work to be done, but potential gold sitting on the map for XDG and those turrets.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that they now have Sivir, the one freezing this lane over there, because they want Zuna to get caught back up in CS, but this Gambit team has such high pick potential, it's very dangerous to give up that man advantage on the rest of the map. If Gambit can start taking vision control, then they can really make some game-changing plays here. Both the Elise and the Warwick are great at capitalizing on catching people. Speaking of catching people, though,
that is not where you wanted to go today, and he goes down instantly. There's not even an inch of motion on their faces. They just knew it's going to happen.
That's why vision control is always the first step of trying to catch people, because of face checking like that. So Alex is the one who actually gets caught out. XDG need to capitalize on the kill.
Whoa, they are everywhere.
Oopsies.
Diamond doesn't even have a safe place to run in the jungle. He actually goes back and he pulls the flip side. He gets them confused, gets himself out.
Nice little juke there by Diamond. But it's a kill for XDG that they haven't really been able to capitalize on yet and get any objective with. Xmithie now going to do his best to roam top and try and make Darien pay for this non-tanky build.
Oh, he is going to have Xmithie on the backside as well. The Tempest and Cripple do not hit, so he may be able to get away from them. And it looks like he's going to be safe on this.
So, I guess he's decently tanky because he's getting magic resist from the Wit's End, and then he's also got some armor.
Yeah.
But he's not that beefy yet, and if he runs right into Mancloud, he's going to take
a huge
some
chunk
hits.
of health, but he doesn't have the mana to get out of this one. Mancloud delivered that one up on a silver platter.
All right, that's good. Drive-by Warwick kill for Mancloud. They're going to take that one and now try and collapse down bottom.
Whoa, thrown on the hunt. This is why they don't have the Talisman of Ascension. There's the dodge out. That's what they were waiting. He flashes, then Zenith Blades for the cut, and they finally get the last hit. He's able to walk it out quite far and waste some time here, but Alex now puts himself in a bad spot. They're all trying to rotate a little too late, and it seems like it's putting him in the wrong spot. Right over the wall, Bloodwater from stage left comes in to help. They take down Alex Each. It's now Edward, the resonating strike. Can he still do it? Oh, he goes back in for the kick.
Xmithie with the acrobatics here. First, he baits Alex into staying by waiting for the last second to use his resonating strike and jump back in. Vulcun needs to hear the chants a little bit. Let's let him hear that. But yeah, Xmithie, that was some beautiful acrobatics. First, baiting in Alex, and then Edward flashing over and not landing the tippers. Now Darien getting domed.
They are getting a little too antsy here with what they can do and the amount of power that they have. Gambit has not fallen into a situation like this in I don't know how long, but they are scattered.
All right, so let's take a look at it again. He lands a Q and then walks away, waits for the very last second to go back in, bait Alex, that he gets the stun and immediately exits.
Wow.
Buys enough time for Cloud to come in, as well as Bloodwater to fully lock up Alex. And then Edward, see, he flashes over here. He's got plenty of vision. He just plain misses. Oh, that was just a plain miss. And then Xmithie, he's got balls of steel, goes right back in. He's not scared. Finishes off Edward.
An amazing turn of events here. Xmithie.
Get off my pickboard.
Xmithie hits Diamond. We got to remember, Xmithie is the Sightstone Lee Sin right now, and he is absolutely pushing people out of positions. Sword boots on that Elise, but she still can't deal out the damage that he's given.
Bloodwater makes quick work of that ward with his attack reset, and they're able to win that vision battle around the mid lane.
That, Kobe, you said this battle started with vision, but it continued with them having more vision than Gambit. You can see down on that red fight, there's like 4 wards. These are all coming from Xmithie right now, and it is making them unstoppable.
Yeah, it seems like Gambit are playing a little bit loose here in this game. They're not playing too careful, haven't extended the vision to a great extent, and they're getting a little bit aggressive. Meanwhile, they've got a farming Warwick down bottom who does not shove lanes very fast, so it's pretty much always a frozen lane with Darien there.
Wow, great job being a little cheeky, getting in the minds of his opponent. It looks like they are going to back off and set up as a team of 5. Power in numbers right now for XDG. They were not doing anything like this last game. They were all going in for mandatory Cloud to get the 1 pick off on Kha'Zix. Now they have the 5-team fight.
All right, so they're grouping up around Dragon. Even though they don't have the teleport, Benny is walking his way down here. And if Gambit don't engage this quickly, then he will join the team.
I don't put this past Gambit. They're that team that surprises you after 1 second of losing a fight. Diamond up and down. He is safe from Pell. And they are going right on the Edward. He couldn't move. It is going to get obliterated right there. And he does go down. Diamond maybe next. Zuna is in a bad spot right now with those ADs and APs around him. And like I said, they can just turn it around like that. Triple kill for Alex each.
So they take down Edward, but this back line just destroys Zuna and Mancloud, and now it's Gambit's Dragon.
I don't think they're going to have
Xmithie wants
trouble taking this. Alex puts himself in the way of a Sonic Wave.
Oh, he got it! Look at that Dragon steal by Benny. Beautiful with the Flame Breath.
Very, very nice job. Making himself apparent in this game. They know what to do.
That one's going to sting.
I'd say so.
That's going to tick off Diamond a little bit. Just a little bit.
Let's see how this fight goes.
All right,
down.
so many stuns were used on Edward. This is pretty much all crowd control on the support. And look at that Alex-Darien combo, just mashing his face in. Mandatory Cloud does not stand a chance after that, and they immediately eat up Zuna right after. So that's all the damage taken out from this XDG team.
As you kind of see how that formulates, you have the dive buddies of Benny and Xmithie. I keep calling him Xmithie. Xmithie going in with Bloodwater, and it just left Mancloud and Zuna. You gotta be a little bit more careful. I'm sure they assess this fight. Oh, coming in on the teleport. Darien just on the other side. Suppression over the wall. It cannot be cleansed off. And it looks like they are going to try and get this fight back in order. Edward goes down in a split second. Alex Ish now into Bloodwater as they make their way off to the left. Mancloud very low. Can he deny the vision? But they put down a ward. He is able to get away. Darien and Xmithie now in the 1v1. They are going to battle it out with brute force punches. Alex Ish coming around the side, and he is going to deter the rest of this fight.
So Zuna was actually falling a little bit too close.
They got
Darien
that scent.
Is still on the chase right now. Xmithie with some acrobatics once again does escape.
Those wards pay for themselves when you're playing Lee Sin.
They definitely do. And look at that barren side of the map right now. Talk about wards. That thing is littered with
security
wards
system
right now. Alex is still on the hunt, though.
Is he, Sivir?
Freak? What did Freak get up here?
23 minutes in the game. We got a 10-9. That score, pretty damn close along with the gold, but the turrets are really what's allowing access into the map. The fact that they're down on the top side, that is where XDG continues to find their fights. Gambit wants the dragons over and over. I don't think XDG can give it to him there because they haven't been their fights at all.
Yeah, it's looking like a pretty fun game. They're not hesitating to fight right now. They're engaging all of. We just saw teleport burned in that last turnaround to surprise trap Zuna there and burst him down.
So whatever it takes, Mo.
Yeah, pretty much whatever it takes. And by the way, we do have Darien going a little bit more conventional tank items now. He's got that Sunfire, so armor and magic resist, but he has so much damage packed into this build, both from the Wit's End and the slow burn.
Still, even with these top laners being off and farming the whole time, they sit at 130 apiece, 23 minutes into the game, so you can tell there's been a lot more fighting between the champions than there have the minions in the lane. The turrets have seen a bit of pressure only in the top lane, and XDG is really only, as I said, utilize that to fight. They're not pressuring that lane to get anything more out of it.
And as we see down bottom here, when the two mid laners meet up, yes, Darien is extremely tanky and he's got great sustain, so he can handle himself in that lane, but Warwick does not have wave clear in his kit, so he's only pretty much relying on that Sunfire cape burning down the minions while he auto attacks, and Shyvana has far superior wave clear, so she can shove that lane, and she's actually the one who's going to draw resources down from Gambit. Oh, fight over this raid. Come on, who can get it? Xmithie goes in and smites early, but he still gets it.
Genja got shot there, or Genja shot Xmithie rather. Alex, he's finishing up that Spirit Visage. That means he is a little bit more happy to go into these fights. Mancloud can't exactly take him from 100 to 0%. Maybe that Unleashed Power is one of the strongest ultimates in the game, but not dying right away. Riven can get her HP back up very fast, and he caused trouble. Triple kill in the last fight.
And Mancloud has actually built for that. He's built to burst one person down.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
the Rush Deathfire Grasp, but that early Spirit Visage on Riven is such a good buy because it protects him, yes, from the magic damage, but also cooldown reduction gives him more shields, and the increased lifesteal from his Spirit Visage is going to work really well with that Bloodthirster.
Synergizing up very nicely. We see Darien and Benny. They trade a little equal there. It's about a 60-40 in the last bit of damage as he got a Q off. So those two can be able to handle each other in the bottom lane. So we'll see what the 4v4 fight provides. The teleport's down for Darien. This is really about all the first use of the crowd control and if it's dodged out, because it's going to be big initiation. It's either a Bloodwater going in or Edward trying to flash stun.
And that's why the wards are so important at this point in the game. And once again, we see no sweepers from Gambit. XDG have picked up 2, but Gambit are still holding out on that. They pretty much just rely on pink wards for their vision control.
Around at more inventories. Locked to the Iron Solari. Pretty much orthodox builds coming out here, and Xmithie only going for the Vampiric Scepter as he goes to upgrade. His path has been really to support his team in this game.
Yeah, Xmithie's been doing a pretty good job also. He's putting on
and
a very good show for the
too.
fans. Some nice acrobatics.
Some supporting.
Now the other thing about Gambit, relying only on pink wards for all their vision control is that it's a limited resource, but it's a shared team limited resource because only one per person on your team. So if someone like Darien does a good job and he's like, yes, I bought a pink ward, I'm going to place this for you guys. If he puts it in a bad spot, that's something that's not going to benefit the rest of the team because he only gets one.
Taking out the spiders, he gets a cocoon for it, and they back off from the fight. Still seeing a lot of brown boots on the side of Gambit. Doesn't mean game, but it means they are definitely wanting the power of their core items faster than they want the ability to escape and get out of these fights. And right now they're looking to position for that dragon. This is the one I said that they wanted, and they're always the one first. They're the one to instigate this.
Oh, here we go.
But they're not going to be the first one to go in. Benny dragging descent into the middle. It's quite a scatter right now, but they have all the focus they need. Gambit takes down right onto Mancloud. They focus in onto Benny. Nobody can even breathe from XDG as they are smothered out in this fight. Finally followed up, and a few quick clicks coming in from Darien to finish off the fight. Zuna, once again, left running.
Now he's the only one left on the team, and that was XDG once again initiating onto Edward. They paid for it this time because the rest of Gambit did not hesitate to collapse, and they kicked Edward out this time too, so they didn't even kill him this time around.
Being a nuisance, they're just trying to chase Genja around, make sure he can't back. Make sure he wastes the most amount of time because really they have nothing to do but pressure this top turret, or bottom turret I should say, the top of bottom in the bottom lane.
Zuna's still on the run, by the way. This has been a long path for Zuna to walk.
He's wearing some holes in his shoes right now, and I don't know if he's going to make it out alive. He is
Diamond
looking at about 30 seconds on his ultimate right here, and I don't think he has that much time to live. Diamond's got big gap closers. He gets shot from both sides. He gets taken down eventually, but he also started to waste their time that they didn't do much with. That's okay.
So we'll say that's another sort of delayed ace for Gambit. They got 5 kills and the dragon out of that.
Inside the park ace.
Yeah, remember, all these random XDG kills that they're getting a significant amount, but they don't get the objectives after. Again, Edward gets so much focus here, but they end up kicking him out at half-life. And then, since Darien ults in onto Mancloud, they all have to collapse, and they just get AoE down when Edward comes back into the fight, and Genja arrives to do a point-blank culling to the face and just annihilates the rest of the entire team.
So many ifs in that fight. If he didn't kick, and when Xmithie turned around, he had 3 people right in front of him. Like Xmithie could have kicked them all.
Many ifs. This Warwick just coming in every time, ulting Mandatory Cloud, takes out one of the key players for XDG, and it's been a real problem for them.
Not something that they considered would happen. Losing their max amount of power in the beginning of a fight. Like I said, it's all about that first moment. If it's not on your terms, it's not going to go the right way. And Gambit has been wanting dragon fights the entire game.
I mean, Warwick is a very binary champion. He's coming in and you know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to ult one of your carries. Since one of them is Sivir and has a spell shield, he's probably not going to risk it on that. So he's coming for Mandatory Cloud. You can get a Quicksilver Sash to try and deal with that, or something like a Mikhail's Crucible. And if Bloodwater is able to finish there, he finished the Mikhail's Crucible. Now
he's got to be in range. He's the one diving, so he's not on the back line to give that up to Mancloud. See if they can run this one down. XDG trying to put themselves in the front. Good damage coming from Mancloud, but he also has to be careful. Being on that front line has cost Zuna his life quite a few times. 14-10 is the score. Now we're getting back into the jungle. 30 minutes into the game, XDG trying to cover their ground here, cover their assets. And will they be able to? Xmithie, big damage onto him, but he's able to get out, locking up the Iron Solari, mitigating a good amount of damage that would follow up. They stop the fight.
All right, chased out of their own jungle, but Gambit definitely with the upper hand here, and now they're going to be able to shove in this lane. In the sieging matchup, you know, they don't have the best siege, but they have such a big lead in this game. They can just bully XDG around.
Double Bloodthirster coming out now for Gambit. Looks like the usual batteries they put in their punching gloves. They're trying to come out with pure power before they go for that defense. We do see a needlessly large rod coming out into Diamond as well. It looks like he is also going for a Deathfire Grasp, which would be quite interesting, getting in there with that execution and even more.
So, Mikhail's Crucible actually doesn't work on suppresses, I don't think, here. So it's actually not going to save Mancloud. Tough break, but it will save someone else from a single target stun. Yeah.
Zuna clearing up the top. We'll see what the AD carries are sitting out right now, and it's quite a discrepancy if you look at that. 10,004, so it's about a grand in the pocket of Genja right now, and a 50 CS, 40 CS in his favor.
Yeah, Genja's feeling pretty good about this one. Yeah, whenever you get off of point blank culling as well, like in that last fight, definitely emboldens your Lucian. Gambit though, it looks like they're going to stick with the split pushing because they do have the teleport on Darien, and he is so tanky. They can just leave him over there while the rest of them roam down mid.
And something that Gambit does very well, they did it last game, we kind of talked about it with Genja's build, is that he went for that Triforce, right? He wasn't going to be able to fight Sivir right away. They don't do something they don't want. They avoid everything until they need to do it, and it keeps them on top. They aren't allowed to make mistakes that way.
Yeah, they're not making a lot of mistakes, but they are having a lot of fun. And, you know, we have Diamond here on the jungle Elise with his own Deathfire Grasp. So he's looking to come in and burst someone down as well. Seems like everybody, they take turns, I guess. One person can have a lot of fun with their build each game.
He's going to be maxed. He says, you have one, Mancloud? I have one. They are up 6,000 gold. That's been cleaned up a little bit. Last game, that was a 20,000 gold deficit. Darien getting hit up. The initiations that they start using just fuel Gambit to go into the fight every time. They quickly take down Mancloud. Not a second to think. They go right after Lucian as well, but it is going to be Zuna on the side to go down as they only get Genja. Not a lot of power from him right now in these fights if you got Alex Ish doing everything.
Yeah, again, they just burst down Mancloud. They take out all these damage sources for XDG, and there's no time for them to react. We didn't even have, you know, the Mikhails go on cooldown for Bloodwater. You didn't even get to heal anybody with it. This is definitely going to be an uncontested Baron, by the way. Gambit, again. Win team fight, go take objective. They are just crushing. Second game, a lot like they crushed the first game.
3 Barons in a row. The second game, almost exactly like XDG with the lead in the first 5 to 10 minutes, and it quickly sways the other way. Let's see how they initiate this, and they don't give Mancloud a chance.
Yeah, so there was a great initiation from Alex with the flash stun, and even though Mancloud flashes away and gets his ulti off on Genja, he doesn't take down Genja. So again, Gambit are able to just clean up the rest of the team, and they don't have to worry about any casualties.
That Dragon, enough to fight over even after Baron. The gold that it gives you as it goes later in the game is obviously worth fighting over in the eyes of XDG. Bloodwater very low here. Zuna is going. Whoa, he gets a lot of damage coming on to Zuna from Darien, and he is going to be able to flash over the wall. Nice scatter. No! Oh, it's the shield, but it's not going to be enough overall. You can see the Deathfire grasp into ultimate almost isn't enough. And if not stunned right there, he would have won that fight. Well played by Mancloud.
And Darien shouts, worth. He was able to get Zuna at least. And Diamond comes inside, you know. They're still rocking the Baron buff, so they traded their fairly high DPS tank, Warwick, for the AD carry here for XDG.
He's getting to that time bomb point, Kobe, where you can just walk around, growl at everybody, and you can't do much about it.
He has a lot of different sources of magic damage, you know, both from his kit as well as the items that he's decided to go with. And since he's got Sork boots, they hit that much harder.
Good. Oh, very nice damage. Not having to use the DFG on that, so you can see they may. Oh, they can't even get to their own turret right now. Gambit is putting their mark on this game.
Alex is going real deep here, under the turret.
It's a 3v1 situation until his team can follow up, and he does get one with the help of Genja after a bit of the fight. It's going to be on the hunt going down. Xmithie gets himself way too far into the fight. Benny now. Here comes the teleport in from Darien. He will join the fight. They will take an inhibitor turret.
This is just a massacre now. We've got this beefed up Darien with a Guardian Angel coming in, and he's got Blood Scent. There's nowhere for Bloodwater to go.
Bloodwater was like, wait, home is the other way, but there's a detour to be had.
Glad you didn't go for the easy joke about the Blood Scent and the Bloodwater rivalry. Very proud.
Yeah.
They're going to take the mid inhibitor after that one, too. Real good work for Gambit. It looks like they actually want to end it now, too.
They got the turrets in their eyes. The Nexus is there. So is 2 points coming in the Battle of the Atlantic. If they can take down these turrets, they look to be taking down the second one. Still waiting for three members of XDG to come up. Zuna goes down. It is going to be 50 seconds on the clock. Here it's Xmithie doing what he can, putting the last blood, sweat, and tears onto the rift here in the Battle of the Atlantic. We see that Diamond has gone down, but the team has their eyes on the Nexus, and Gambit keeps it in a 2-0 sweep for the Battle of the Atlantic.
A couple of stylish wins there for
Absolutely,
Gambit.
showing it can be done in various ways.
Definitely utilizing some unconventional ideas, but man, you can't deny the impact that the Warwick had in this game. The suppression, which is not used very often in competitive play, really came up big there. You know, even though the Mikhail's was built, you know, we thought that that would be an easy out, but it doesn't work on the suppression.
It's amazing. It comes down to really not seeing these champions lately. Not seeing a Mumu as a support. Do we focus that? Do we let it go? Oh my god, it crushed in the late game. Do we stop Warwick as he farms, or do we take 2 turrets down and give him free farm for the entire game so he can crush late game? They didn't know the result, so they let it go, and it became too strong.
Gambit have had a lot of practice with using new things.
That's amazing.
The power of their innovation right
Wow.
right now. They're just accustomed to adapting to these new styles, and they have not hesitated on the new patch.
They're a team that always showed us something.
Branching out there. They really thrive in chaos, so they throw the other team off by using these different picks.
In fact, the first time we saw him at Katowice.
Yeah.
Janna Shyvana running around the jungle, then Tarek Shyvana running around the jungle. Nobody had done that before, and nobody's been bringing out Warwick or a Mumu support either.
It's funny, too, because they're also a team that practices a bit less than a lot of the other LCS teams because they have to spend so much time traveling. It's hard for them to be in the same place at once. That it's very, very impressive that they still come out and they perform so well.
It's completely amazing to have Edward back. I think the synergy has returned for Gambit. I think the fans have seen that as well.
I think the fans have seen that. They're pretty happy with his performance. This time around on Annie, even though he did miss that one tippers on Xmithie, we'll give him that one.
We gotta also, Xmithie played well. Mandatory Cloud played well, but there was the fights. When have they not gone to Gambit Gaming? They were Moscow 5. The fights went to them. They're the one that creates fights in the game, and they made it happen every time. They went to Baron, and last patch, last anything, people wouldn't go to Baron. Baron was a bad word. Baron was something we didn't talk about. In this patch, it is completely utilized to create fights again.
Yeah, Gambit immediately grab up objective after objective as soon as they win a team fight. Meanwhile, a couple sporadic kills here and there for XDG, not quite able to capitalize as well on them.
In that first game, as you mentioned, the Dragons played a huge role for Gambit, knowing that gold increase, knowing what they needed to do. They took Dragon after Dragon, 3 Barons throughout the games, 3 straight Barons, theirs.
They definitely played that one extremely well. I also really like Alex on the Ribbon this time around. Built very well and then did not hesitate. In the last 2 team fights, it wasn't even Warwick suppressing Mancloud. It was Alex going in, catching him out a couple times.
So another 2-0 in the Battle of the Atlantic as it is. It's been 2-0 series all the way down the line, and with that one, EU